It is a way of thinking made manifest, right? It is because they have decided that there's no tools they won't use to attack KPD. Then it's just a matter of whatever comes up doing the thing they usually do with it, right? Because they're not using creative strategies. I've repeatedly, and it's a little derogatory, but I've repeatedly called these strategies high school unstable level politics. They're not complex. They're not sophisticated, and they're not creative. They when they find something that works, they spam that button, right? Oh, I have the same problem again. Hit the button again. I do the same thing. It got that effect before. It creates a public perception. It furthers a narrative. It continues to do this. It means that this is another week that no reporter has the spare time to actually do a follow up on last week's.
What do you make of this Ryan Burns guy? Because he's come up a few times now.
He's a
as
professional journalist.
Would
with everything that
would you
entails.
say he's a good journalist?
Let's define goodness. I'm sure he generates a lot of clicks. He has a great roster of powerful sources, of inside sources. He's the first person that certain people call with a lot of information. And that's and he's got a reputation for that. I wouldn't call him an investigative journalist, just by his methods and by his stories. He occasionally goes into some depth around the issues at play, gives context. But at the end of the day, I would hey Ryan, but I would call what he and to be fair, what most journalists in Humboldt County are doing as access journalism. Right? They want to have the relationship that gets them the quotes. That's fine. Like that's for certain things. That's it's necessary, but it's not combative. And
They're not willing to push.
Right, because under those answers are a couple of I mean, like I said, like I was genuinely impressed when I saw Burns give that follow-up question to the SCO. Was like, but to be specific, was it a forgery? But an investigative journalism would have heard the crickets, and then commented on it. And maybe given some context on other sorts of things that they give crickets on, or why that response, what that means when they don't clarify beyond a certain point. Investigative journalism, pulling documents, but I don't begrudge him that. I mean, it's definitely his job at LoCO to get those quotes, right? I don't think LoCO is an investigative journalism outlet. So if he were performing deep, grinding, combative investigative journalism, he wouldn't be doing his job. He'd get fired. He'd have to go do a blog like John Schiff, who does do that.
Yeah, I only asked because a lot of the articles that I read for KPD were written by him, and they painted her in a specific light, and I wasn't sure if that was due to an intentional design or if that was just lack of diligence, or he believes that side of the story, so he's reporting on that side, or
well, those are his sources.
Yeah.
And he has shown a willingness to print what they say, and so they give him things. I mean,
and you don't want to burn that bridge.
Yeah,
you don't want to be excluded from access.
Dude gets clicks. Any KPD article is going to generate a massive amount of clicks just because of the army of flying monkeys that they've whipped up from within the county to go and comment and honk the bully horn on every single article. Right? Occasionally I'll go in there and just like throw some jabs. Like, here's a document, you're full of bullshit. Here's a document, you're full of bullshit. Follow the link. But Or just like, and here is, but whatever, generates clicks. So there's no reason from a business point of view, from an editorial point of view, that there would ever be something else to these. Because if that fire hose stops, well, they've got to find something else to get all those clicks to drive out those advertising dollars, some of which they get from the county.
Lost Coast in particular gets money from the county.
Yeah, tourism board
Pays them.
Yeah, they buy ad space, all kinds of different places. I haven't tracked
Yeah,
down
the
all that money yet.
buying ad space, that gets tricky when you start looking there.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah.
Doesn't it though? See, and again, it doesn't have to be a conspiracy. It's just people acting in self-interest, right? I have a bunch of ad stuff from the county, and there's powerful people with their fingers on the strings that I don't want to piss off. So maybe I should just print what they say and not make their story go. And
It's
then,
that subtle influence of where am I going to put my money?
yeah,
Damn.
yeah, that is how that arm comes in, right? Anybody being like, well, it's mostly not a bunch of people at a table going, how are we gonna manipulate the media to create this perception? No, it's it is a way of thinking made manifest, right? It is because they have decided that there's no tools they won't use to attack KPD. Then it's just a matter of whatever comes up doing the thing they usually do with it, right? Because they're not using creative strategies. I've repeatedly, and it's a little derogatory, but I've repeatedly called these strategies high school lunch table level politics. They're not complex. They're not sophisticated, and they're not creative. They when they find something that works, they spam that button, right? Oh, I have the same problem again. Hit the button again. I do the same thing. It got that effect before. It creates a public perception. It furthers a narrative. It continues to do this. It means that this is another week that no reporter has the spare time to actually do a follow up on last week's, right? Because see, that's the other thing is because you keep a constant fire hose of negative information out. It's a campaign tactic. There's no room to breathe for the rest. I mean, you hear the saying, a lie travels half the world before the truth has its pants on, right? Right, to correct a sensational lie or misinformation in the media takes a whole lot. Like, just psychologically, it takes multiple exposures to corrective information from multiple sources to correct a single lie that was attributed trust. Right? If a bad headline comes out in something that I have decided is a trustworthy source, I have to see multiple things correcting that headline from other equally trusted sources, right? Just for my brain to give it equal weight. That's cognitive bias. It's just the way we're hardwired to screw up.
My fear, and this was a similar sentiment that I expressed to KPD, is that in regards to her trying to get her side of the story out,
Yeah.
the truth almost doesn't matter if the people don't believe in it.
Yeah.
And it seems like we are at that kind of precipice, right? We're standing on the edge, and there are a few people screaming, saying, "Hey, there's a cliff ahead," and then you have some people saying, "There's no cliff. Just we're gonna keep on walking forward."
It's all fine.
Yeah. And
yeah.
there's gonna be a bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, people falling with their eyes closed, swearing they're not falling because they don't want to be wrong about the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they know there's a cliff, and if they say that there's a cliff, they know shit goes sideways for them. So they're willing to walk off that cliff with everybody else.
Very short-sighted.